Here's why Aegon II betrayed his own blood to secure the throne. Picture this. You wake up one morning, hungover, possibly still drunk, definitely not ready for responsibility, and suddenly your mother is telling you that you are now the king of the Seven Kingdoms. Sound great, right? Except there is one tiny problem. Your older half-sister was literally named heir by your father, supported by the entire realm for decades, and you are about to start a civil war that will kill most of your family, including your own children. Welcome to the catastrophically bad decision-making of Aegon II, a man who did not just betray his blood. He set it on fire, fed it to dragons, and then wondered why everything smelled like ash and regret. If you are ready to dive into one of the messiest family feuds in Westerosi history, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we are breaking down every backstab, every power grab, and every moment of spectacular self-destruction that the Targaryens are famous for. Let us get one thing straight right from the start. Aegon II did not want the throne, at least not initially. This is not some ambitious Littlefinger-type mastermind who spent years plotting and scheming his way to power. No, Aegon was perfectly content being a prince, which in Targaryen terms means drinking, flying around on your dragon, fathering bastards in the streets of Silk, and generally living your best consequence-free life. The throne was Rhaenyra's problem. She was the heir. She could deal with the small council meetings and the tedious politics and the responsibility of ruling. Aegon just wanted a party. But here's the thing about the Game of Thrones. You do not get to sit it out. Either you play, or you become a piece on someone else's board. Enter Alicent Hightower and Otto Hightower, the dynamic duo of ambition and manipulation. These two did not just want Aegon on the throne. They needed it. For Otto, it was about legacy and power. Having his grandson as king meant the Hightower family would be the most influential house in Westeros for generations. For Alicent, it was more complicated. She genuinely believed that Rhaenyra would kill her children to secure her own claim. Was she right? Maybe. Was she projecting her own willingness to do terrible things on Rhaenyra? Definitely. But fear is a powerful motivator, and Alicent was terrified. So she convinced Aegon that accepting the crown was not ambition. It was survival. Now here is where the betrayal really kicks into high gear. King Viserys I, Aegon's father, spent literally decades making it crystal clear that Rhaenyra was his heir. He made the lords of Westeros swear oaths to her not once, but twice. He defended her claim even when she made questionable choices, like having 3 sons who very obviously were not fathered by her husband. Viserys never wavered. His dying wish, his final words, were about the prince that was promised and protecting the realm. But Alicent heard Aegon in those delirious ramblings and decided that was good enough to commit treason. And Aegon? He went along with it. He put on that crown knowing it belonged to his sister. That is betrayal number 1. But wait, it gets worse. Because Aegon did not just take the throne. He actively worked to destroy Rhaenyra's claim and everyone who supported it. He sent assassins. He ordered executions. He blockaded Dragonstone. This was not some reluctant usurper trying to minimize damage. Once Aegon committed to being king, he went all in. And the person who paid the highest price? His own nephew, Lucerys Velaryon, a 14-year-old boy who was torn apart by Aemon's dragon Vhagar while serving as an envoy. That death was not just a tragic accident. It was the inevitable result of Aegon's decision to put a crown on his head. Every drop of blood spilled in the Dance of the Dragons flows back to that choice. Let us talk about what Aegon actually gained from his betrayal, because spoiler alert, it was not worth it. He became king, sure, but his reign was an absolute nightmare. His own dragon, Sunfire, was nearly killed at Rook's Rest. Aegon himself was horrifically burned and broken, spending months recovering from injuries that left him disfigured and in constant pain. His son and heir, Jaehaerys, was brutally murdered in retaliation for Lucerys' death, beheaded in front of his mother and sister in what might be the most traumatic scene in Targaryen history. His daughter, Jaehaera, was traumatized beyond measure. His other son, Maelor, would die fleeing a mob. Everything Alicent feared would happen if Rhaenyra took the throne happened anyway, because Aegon took it instead. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a Valyrian steel blade. And here's the kicker. Aegon did not even trust his own allies. He was paranoid, cruel, and increasingly unstable as the war dragged on. He suspected everyone of betrayal, which is rich coming from a guy whose entire kingship was built on betraying his sister. He executed people on whims. He made impulsive military decisions that got thousands killed. He was not a good king. He was barely a functional king. He was a traumatized, bitter, broken man sitting on a throne made of lies. And every day he sat there was another reminder that he had destroyed his family for nothing. But let us dig deeper into the psychology here, because Aegon's betrayal was not just about ambition or fear. It was about identity. Aegon grew up in the shadow of Rhaenyra. She was the favorite. She was the heir. She was the one their father loved most. And Aegon? He was just the spare, the backup plan, the son who existed but did not matter. That kind of neglect breeds resentment. So when Otto and Alicent told him he deserved the throne, that he was the rightful king simply because he was a man, it was not just about power. It was validation. It was proof that he mattered, that he was not just Rhaenyra's little brother, but a king in his own right. The betrayal was not just political. It was personal. It was Aegon finally stepping out of his sister's shadow, even if it meant burning the entire family tree to do it. Now, let us address the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to talk about. Westeros made this betrayal possible. The realm spent centuries establishing that men inherit before women, that sons are more valuable than daughters, that power flows through male bloodlines. Viserys tried to break that tradition by naming Rhaenyra his heir, but he did not change the system. He did not dismantle the patriarchal structures that made Aegon's claims seem legitimate to half the realm. He just expected everyone to follow his wishes because he was king. And when he died, those old prejudices came roaring back. The lords who supported Aegon did not do it because they loved him or thought he would be a great king. They did it because he was a man and Rhaenyra was not. Aegon's betrayal was enabled by a society that valued his gender over her competence. So what is the lesson here? What does Aegon's betrayal teach us about power, family, and the game? Aegon II was not born a villain. He was born a prince with no expectations and no purpose. And he became a king who betrayed everything his father stood for. His story is a tragedy, but it is also a cautionary tale. Because in the Game of Thrones, betrayal always has a price. And Aegon paid it with his children, his body, his sanity, and ultimately his life. The throne he stole killed him. And honestly, that feels like justice. Thanks for watching. Until next time, the throne awaits. Let's talk about that stare down, though, because the cinematography of that scene is doing a lot of heavy lifting. When Rhaenys looks at Alicent, there's recognition there. Two women who have been used, manipulated, and constrained by the patriarchal power structures of Westeros. Alicent was married off to a man old enough to be her grandfather. Rhaenys was denied her birthright. They are both victims of the same system, even though they are on opposite sides of this conflict. In that moment, Rhaenys sees herself in Alicent. And maybe, just maybe, she is giving her a chance that she wishes someone had given her decades ago. But here's the kicker. Rhaenys' mercy is not actually mercy for Alicent and the Greens.